Hello and welcome. I'm Mariana Tradmo, President and Chief Excel Geek here at Accelerations. So last week we talked about how to index an igloo, which as you now know is simply a case of identifying the range or grid that you want to look for your value in, and then counting the number of rows down and columns across to find the value you're looking for. Of course, that's all well and good if you know exactly which row and column your value is in. However, it's not very efficient to be manually counting rows and columns all day, is it? So you might as well just type in the actual value yourself and have done with it. But you already know what I'm going to say, don't you? Of course Excel has a way to do that. We actually talked about it a couple of weeks ago, and that's the match formula. Let's take a look at how this might work. All right, we're going to talk about indexing with a match. The match one is going to light a little fire under our index igloo and really get it going. So just a reminder, the match formula finds the first instance of a string or text or a value in a list. It returns the row or column number of the item that it finds. And then the structure, of course, for it is match, and then you tell it what to find, the range to look in, and then usually we're going to return a zero or put a zero in here so that it returns an exact match and not the closest one. So we'll just stick with that for now. And just as a reminder, we count from the starting point down, 1, 2, 3, 4, and the starting point across, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so it's always a single row or a single column. All right, that's the match formula. And then, of course, we talked about the index formula, which is very similar to indexing an igloo. So it identifies a data set comprised of columns and rows. So there is our data set. Determines the intersection of the row number 4 and column number 3 provided, and then returns the text or value that exists in that specific location or address. So just a reminder, the structure, range to look in, row number, column number. Pretty straightforward. All right, so now since we don't want to be manually typing in our row number and column number every time, as we did last week in index, and then we picked our range, and then we just said return row 16, column 3, which got us this value. So we don't want to be doing that every time. So instead, let's put in a separate column and row here where we can actually calculate that. So we're going to go equals match. And I want to find account 6110. So lookup value is 6110, which is in this cell. And then I'm going to say comma. Where do I want to find it? I want to find it in this array starting at row 1, as I've got it numbered here. Control Shift down arrow to the end. So I want to find it in there, and I'm going to hit F4 right now to hold both of those constant. And then I'm going to go comma 0 because I want that exact match as we talked about. And I'm going to hit enter. So yeah, it says it's in row 16, so that's what we expected to see. So far so good. All right, let's calculate the column for this business unit. Again, equals match, open bracket, and then I want to find wherever it says central. All right, so I'm going to point it to that, comma, and in this case, I actually want to go across. So I'm going to go account all the way over to total. And again, just a single row, and then F4 to hold both of those constant, C to G, and then comma 0, because again, I'm looking for an exact match. I don't want the closest thing to central. I'm not quite sure what that would be, but hit enter. And we get a 3, which is what we were expecting. All right, so now we've got both of those numbers. Let's do this. We've got our index formula where we want it to say, look in this array, which is C113 to G134. So let's see, that's C113. You can see it's highlighted here to G134. So it's got that whole range selected. And then we say return row number 16. Instead of putting a 16 in, let's instead delete that and just point it over here to where it says 16. Okay? And then instead of column 3, we're actually going to point it to where we calculated that it was column 3. So I'm just going to click there, and it says it's L111. And then I'm going to hit enter, and you can see it's actually returned the correct value. So all we did there was we replaced the 16 with a point to K113, which is this cell, and we replaced the 3 with it pointing to L111, which contains a 3 that we calculated. We didn't actually count it. All right, so that's actually how you would do that. And now you can see we've got our index formula, and it's all automated at this point. So it's going to go and figure that out for us. We don't have to go and manually count it next month when we get this report in again. All right, so let's scroll down. So as it says, please leave me a comment or drop me a line at mariana@accelerations.com. I'd love to hear from you and really want to know if you're finding these videos helpful, if they're useful for you, if you have any suggestions on other videos you'd like to see, whether it's something that you know and is a really great trick, or it's something you'd like to learn more about. And then, of course, I want to know, did you try the index formula last week or this index with a match this week? And how did it go, if so? Okay, that's it for this week, and we'll talk to you again soon. Thanks.